Have you ever trusted the wrong person? Maybe a friend borrowed your car and crashed it, or a business partner stole your investment. If you have, then you can imagine how devastating it is when someone you trusted for years sets you up. In this episode of our series, we tell the story of a 29-year-old single mother from San Diego, California, who trusted the wrong man and ended up serving 6 years in prison. When Martha Escalante was growing up, she wanted to be a lawyer. She grew up in Imperial Beach, California, just south of the US-Mexico border. One of 4 children, Martha was bright and ambitious. She dreamed of going to college and having a family of her own. However, her childhood was marred by domestic violence. Her father was abusive, both physically and emotionally. So when she was only 14, she ran away from home and got pregnant by a boy she met down the street. At 15, she gave birth to her son Francisco and moved in with her grandmother. While raising her son as a teen mom, she went to high school and later graduated from Southwestern College. Martha worked hard. She had 2 jobs. She served breakfast at a diner and cleaned several office buildings at night. She was exhausted most days, but it was worth it. Martha did everything for her son. He was her reason for getting up in the morning. She was still young, but she was hardworking and trusted by everyone who knew her. But she was far from rich. She struggled to pay rent and buy food for herself and her son. Most months she was paycheck to paycheck. Then one day a family friend offered her a way out of her financial rut. This was Carlos, a 43-year-old contractor and used car salesman. He was a family friend. His wife was Martha's cousin. They all knew each other socially, and Carlos had helped Martha out in the past, like buying her groceries or giving her gas money when she needed it. So when he approached her with an offer, she thought it was more of the same. Carlos asked if she would do him a huge favor. He needed to get some electronics from Mexico to sell in his store, and he couldn't go himself. He asked if she would do it for him, just drive across the border into Tijuana and pick up a couple of boxes. In exchange, he'd give her $300. It wasn't much, but for Martha, that meant an extra few groceries or another payment toward her son's school supplies. So she agreed. She took Carlos's SUV, crossed the San Isidro border into Tijuana, found the location he gave her, and picked up a couple of sealed boxes labeled car speakers. She didn't ask questions. Carlos had always been legit, or so she thought. But on the way back across the border into the United States, Martha was stopped by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Her vehicle was selected for a search, and she agreed without hesitation. She expected they'd look through the car and maybe ask her questions, but nothing more than that. She had nothing to hide, she thought, and she was right. There was nothing in the car except the 2 boxes. But when the agents opened the boxes and found over 11 pounds of crystal meth hidden beneath a false bottom, everything changed. Martha's world collapsed. She was immediately handcuffed and taken into a small room. She was questioned. She insisted she had no idea what she was transporting, that she was just doing a favor, that Carlos had set her up. But it didn't matter. The US government filed federal trafficking charges against her. And because the drugs were found in her possession and she crossed an international border with them, the case was considered airtight. Her appointed defense attorney told her she could try to fight it, but there was no point. She was convicted already in the eyes of the court. He advised her to plead guilty to avoid a potential 20-year sentence. Torn and terrified, she agreed. She received a 7-year sentence in federal prison. During her incarceration, she missed everything. Her son's first day of school, birthdays, holidays, the death of her own mother. Letters were sent back and forth, but it wasn't the same. Her son was raised by her sister. She cried every night, knowing that one moment of trust cost her everything, but she didn't give up. Inside prison, Martha earned her GED, learned Spanish fluently. Her parents were Mexican-born, but she never really spoke Spanish and began working with an inmate-led legal group that helps others understand their rights. She eventually spoke to a journalist from Vice News, and her story gained limited attention online. Though it didn't overturn her conviction, it did spark conversation about the thousands of Americans, often women, caught as blind mules in drug trafficking operations. Blind mules are individuals who are recruited to smuggle drugs across borders by concealing them on their bodies or in vehicles. Often, they are unaware of the danger they are putting themselves in until they are caught. Martha was released in 2019 after serving 6 years with good behavior. She returned home to her teenage son, who barely remembered her. Her time in prison had stolen her youth. She aged significantly during her incarceration. She was only 29 when she was arrested, and now she was in her mid-30s. She had gray hair and wrinkles that hadn't been there before. She saw her son for the first time since he was 6 years old. He was awkward around her. He lived with his dad, his aunt, and uncle. No one really wanted her around. She understood though. She was gone for so long. It made sense that her son felt disconnected from her. But it hurt nonetheless. Still, she was just happy to have him back in her life. After her release, Martha Escalante went back to work. She was hired by a non-profit that helps women reintegrate into society after prison. She also worked with another nonprofit teaching parenting skills to teenage mothers. And throughout it all, she warned others about the risks of being too trusting, even with people you think you know. Her words are haunting. "I wasn't a criminal until I trusted one," she says. Martha's story highlights several key takeaways. The first is the importance of being cautious when dealing with people you don't know well, even if they are family, friends, or people you trust. Secondly, Martha's story is a reminder that sometimes people exploit trust for their own benefit, setting others up for failure or worse. Finally, it emphasizes the impact of choices on not only one's own life, but the lives of those around them. Martha's decision to trust Carlos had not only legal repercussions, but deeply affected her relationship with her son and her future prospects. So have you ever trusted the wrong person? How did it make you feel? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content. Thanks for watching.